Hello, everybody. This is Julissa. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to the channel. Thank you to everybody who's listening right now in the podcast. It is Wednesday, October 8, 2025. I'm going to do a different type of video that I normally will do. This is not about breaking news or sharing you a story or something that happened, or even talking about fashion, right, for that matter. But I'm going to speak to you about a dream vision that I just had this today. And I feel so led to share this, guys. So I'm just going to tell you that in the beginning so that you know what it is that I'm going to speak about. Before I continue, of course, I want to thank everybody who's listening using Spotify. Don't forget to follow the podcast and share. Following the podcast for me, if you do that for me on Spotify, it really helps me as a creator. The same thing with Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to rate the podcast and follow it there. And everybody who's listening, let's just say Amazon Music, thank you guys so much for listening and sharing the podcast. Really means a lot to me. And of course, thank you to everybody who's watching the video right now on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for being here. So, crazy times that we're living in, as we all know it. Everything that's been happening lately, it makes you kind of like think about the future. If you're a believer in Christ, you know that all of these things are going to happen before the second coming of the Lord, right? But also don't forget our reward, right? Because sometimes we can get so caught up on everything that's happening and how bad it's going to get. Somebody had this thing and it's going to be really bad and things like that. And you need to understand all of that is actually leading us closer to be reunited back with Jesus Christ, right? So think about it in that perspective. Think about that God is always working things out for you for the good, right? And He's your Father, and He cares for you. But everything that's happening, and sometimes it's hard to believe. I understand because it happens to me. Sometimes I see things in the news, and I'm like, I cannot believe that's actually happening. It makes you wonder, wow, how really bad is it really gonna get, right? So crazy about that thing is that today, in this afternoon, I took a quick nap and I had this dream vision, right? It was right after work. And I had this vivid dream. It's so strange, right? And the reason that I tell you the time that I had that, because normally when you have visions and things like that, there's always that person that say, oh, you probably ate before you went to sleep or something. That's why people always have a reason for stuff instead of looking at things for what they really are, right? God gives you vision, God gives you dreams and things like this. And there are people who have been having a lot of visions and things like that, right? And you have to look at things for what they are. Don't always try to push it aside or make excuse for it. I normally don't get dreams like this, right? That's why I'm sharing it. I don't get visions and nothing like that. But interestingly enough, this afternoon, I had this vision of I kind of like suddenly have woken up and I saw it was daytime, right? But at the same time, I saw this type of, it was like this silence. It's almost like, when you can hear silence? It's so strange even to say it, but it's almost like it's so quiet that you can actually hear the quietness, right? And it was like I saw this line of bright yellow line that it was kind of like coming down. I saw it in the shadow of my wall, kind of like reflecting what was happening outside, right? And I saw it coming down, and I was like, I woken up from my bed, and I in this dream, I said, "Oh my goodness, they actually dropped something, some type of, I don't want to even say it, right? Because things like that, you really hope that that never happens, right? But it was like, oh my goodness, they actually did it. Like they actually attacking us. They dropped something. That's what immediately what I thought in my dream. And then at the same time, I'm like, let me run to the kitchen for shelter. But it was kind of like the slow motion because I remember seeing how the sunny day went all the way from sunny to kind of like the orange. And when you see orange, right, when you go from yellow to orange in lighting, you you immediately see kind of like fire, right? Because a lot of fire looks like orange, the color orange a lot of the times, right? Definitely was something that was trapped and it was affecting us. And as I'm running to the kitchen, I was like, let me find shelter here. And then I was like, I couldn't understand why this was happening in Connecticut. It's so crazy. Because, I always think, if something like that, it was going to happen in my mind, right? And, sometimes even in your dreams, you kind of reason with yourself and you question things. I was like, wait, why Connecticut, right? Wouldn't that happen? And then I'm like, maybe I don't hear any commotion because we're getting kind of like it's almost like when a tsunami happens, you kind of get this kind of what is it, aftershock type of reflecting something that happened in a different city close by, and you kind of get kind of like the remnants of it. I don't know how to call it. I know there's a word for it. I can think of it right now. And I was like, wait, why in Connecticut? It was so crazy how I questioned that in my dream, and then I'm like, okay, but I was like, it's very quiet, but I know something got dropped. Like I knew something had hit, and then I saw the sun light from bright yellow going straight to orange and kind of like in this slow motion, like going down. I was like, oh my goodness, let me run for shelter. And thanks be to God, in that moment I woken up. But it was just so surreal, you guys. And when you wake up and you're like, what was that all about? So it was just so strange. I know that a lot of people are having visions and dreams like that, and we always take everything back to the Lord. Um, I pray about it. Like I said, I don't get things like this. Maybe like 5 years ago, I got something about the Dominican Republic, and I made a video about it. But dreams and things like that, visions like that, so people, I normally don't get that. And yesterday too, it was so strange because yesterday I noticed that every time I will be like thinking of something. I started thinking about a song, right? And I will be just starting to sing, and kind of like this need for myself to just worship the Lord, right? With like old songs too that I remember from like childhood, and I attended church when I was younger, right? All I want to say is that why I had that vision like that, I have no idea. And like I said, I know there's a lot of people that have dreams and things like this, and some people get it more often, right? And things like that. But with everything, when it comes to something like that, with everything, you always have to pray about it, right? Pray about it and let the Lord kind of like tell you what that really meant. But even when I woke up, thanks be to God, because I did kind of felt this type of fear and concern. And I couldn't understand why it was happening here in Connecticut. It's so strange, right? Like we sometimes, the Bible said we're gonna go from city to city. Like, it's kind of like really, it's all everything that's gonna come is, it's all biblical, Bible prophecy, right? So, it's gonna happen, right? So I was just questioning that, but I definitely feel like something got dropped during the day too. So let me know, guys, what you think about this. If you have guys that listening to me, I know this is a different video, like I said in the beginning. If you have had any type of dream like this or vision, let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for coming to the channel. Thank you so much for everybody who's listening in the podcast. Have a good day, everybody.